he will be remembered as some, probably for his personality being the last of the sort of people who are prepared to devote themselves to duty.
What do you think Prince Philip would want his legacy to be?
Everyone is asking what his legacy would be, and he famously said, "I don't mind what's on my tombstone. I don't mind what my legacy is because I won't be here. But I think he will be remembered as some, probably for his personality being the last of the sort of people who are prepared to devote themselves to duty." Mm-hmm. And to the exclusion of self, because they just don't make people like that anymore. I mean, obviously there are huge exceptions, but just the general run of normal human beings, they just aren't like. I mean, I'm not like that. I don't know. I just don't think people are like that because we're more conscious of ourselves and what we want. But in his generation, it was very much what other people might want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What do you think Prince Philip would say his greatest achievement was?
He has said, actually, my greatest achievement, first, second and third, is looking after the Queen and therefore the institution of the monarchy. So he was always very upset if anyone did anything that was destructive towards the monarchy, because that meant it was an insult to the Queen and everything that they'd given up. They gave up their own personal lives to dedicate themselves to the monarchy.
Yeah. I mean, do you know anything about what his final days were like at home?
Not a great deal, because they've been in this bubble at Windsor Castle. So all the sort of little leaks that we might get from sort of staff and people haven't been happening. But Sophie Wessex said that he passed very peacefully, as if someone had taken him by the hand and just walked him away. Other people have said that he was obviously going down health-wise, but he was still, he was still able to hear, he was still able to speak, and he had been writing a foreword to a book, which was produced by one of his German nephew, actually. So his faculties were obviously still there.
How do you think this loss is going to affect the way that the royal family functions as a family and as an institution?
Well, I think that Prince Charles went along to see Prince Philip in hospital in February, and I think and he was the only senior royal to see Prince Philip, and I think that was quite a historic meeting where effectively Prince Philip passed on the family baton to Prince Charles, and so he is now head of the family, and he's actually taken the Duke of Edinburgh's title, Duke, so he's now also the Duke of Edinburgh as well as being Prince of Wales, and that's kind of symbolic because it means that Charles is now head of the family. And it was interesting the way that he dealt with the crisis with Prince Andrew and his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein and that whole car crash interview that he gave, that the Queen's instincts tend to be to kick the can down the road and wait and see what happens. Charles acted very decisively. Prince Andrew retired from public life and is now in the shadows. Charles's behaviour is going to be possibly more decisive than the Queen and probably Prince Philip. So there'll be a new energy brought into the family.
It's so interesting that he has now the same title, or now he is known as the Duke of Edinburgh. Will Prince William eventually get that title as well, too?
Well, there's talk actually that when Prince Charles becomes king, the title Duke of Edinburgh will go to Prince Edward, the Queen's fourth child, and he has been the head of the Duke of Edinburgh Fund, which is this organisation where teenage kids go camping and hiking and earn a badge, and it's, Edward likes to say, very character building.